I'm a believer in complete honesty, both to other people and most importantly to yourself. A couple of reasons. Number one is if I'm completely honest and I project that and people know that, they know I'm not playing games. There's, obviously social dynamics and all of that sort of stuff. There can be a bit of guesswork. What's the tone? What's the meaning? What's the implication? What are people wanting? Now, obviously every bit of communication is going to involve that, but I prefer to just state how I feel, what I want, and ideally get that back from other people. And obviously there's, the issue of them being as honest as possible and all that sort of stuff. I get that. But I know to myself that if I'm completely honest, if I'm not deceiving anyone, if I'm just sharing my truth, there's no games. There's no need to put on a facade. It's just me being me. And what that is increasingly allowing me to do is be very comfortable in social situations and around people that I've just met or people that I've met for a long time, because there's no effort. If I'm just being myself and talking my own truth and connecting with the person, it's just, it's not work. In the past, I would try and project something that I wasn't. I'll try and act more confident or act more interested in certain things, or, not lie, but just sort of try and project something that I wasn't. Maybe it's something that I was aiming for or something that I thought the person would want, or I don't know. But all I know is that it was very hard work, both to maintain it, to remember it, to put it on, to sort of, it felt like I had to put on an act for people, because I was putting on an act for people, and perhaps it was really for myself because I was didn't have the self-confidence. So now I just make it an effort to just be open and honest. If it gets a little bit much sometimes, obviously, if someone asks me for my opinion, I'm going to tell you. And, that can be a little bit confronting, and I get it. And I will, apologize for the offense because it's not intended. But, deep down, if I ask someone for an opinion and they give me their honest opinion, I'm actually grateful, because it gives me that reality check, external reality check on what I am, who I am, what I'm doing, all that sort of stuff. It's more that I think people get more offended if you offer the opinion and the judgment without their consent, and you're just like, hey, this is it. Not so great. I'm more trying to give the honest opinion. And that way, when someone asks me something, so, the typical example is my wife saying, hey, does this look good on me? I will tell her if it fits or if it doesn't fit, or if it suits her or if it doesn't suit her. She expects that. She knows that. And although sometimes it can be a little bit cutting, I'll be like, but every time I compliment you on your food or on your clothes or on your looks or anything like that, it's completely honest too. And I apply that same logic to everyone. If I'm talking to you, if I'm giving you that compliment, if I'm talking to you online, a lot of people are messaging me online, talking about asking advice, all of that sort of stuff. And I will share with them the honest truth of what I think. I'm not going to cut those corners, not going to decorate it or pretty it up. I'm just going to be like, hey, this is how I see it. If you like that, great. I get it. So that's sort of where I'm at. But the other side of this coin is being completely honest to yourself. I'm really working on discovering myself, working on who I am, what I like, what I want to do, and just finding me. And this has been a long and continuous journey, years and years and years, and hours of therapy, meditation, self-reflection, reading books and looking for people online. So like I've said before, I had obvious issues with my father, deficiencies in knowledge that I've increasingly finding people online that filled those gaps. For example, the best example is Jocko Willink. I was very undisciplined, very unmotivated, issues with addiction and the whole thing, and his podcast and books and his whole thing has changed my life, because I'm like, okay, I know I need more discipline, but I can't get it for myself. This is something my father should have taught me, or I wish he had of. So I'll get it myself from, someone external. Same thing from a bunch of other people online. I'm looking at Naval Ravikant for wealth creation, sort of life philosophy. I'm looking at Sam Harris for that sort of deep contemplation and sort of focused thought. I'm looking at Gary Vaynerchuk for hustle and self-improvement and just finding that sort of inner drive and what I want to be projecting. And there's a few more people, but the point isn't to suggest that you should look at those people. The point is that if you start working out what you need, you'll be able to find people in the world, either online or in person, that can start filling those gaps. you probably won't find it all in one person. I know that for me, like, discipline was a major thing, so Jocko came along, and I was receptive to that. And I also want to get a bit of a hustle online, you know, selling books and the whole thing I'm doing. Gary Vaynerchuk. It's like, okay, I want to get a bit deep and meditative and contemplative. Sam Harris. I want to have a peaceful and reflective and beautiful life that's going down a, you know, self-development path. Naval, right? So that's sort of been my process and my journey, and I've come across a whole bunch of different resources and that sort of stuff. So if I get to know you, if I'm with coaching clients, I'll be like, hey, this is a great book, because like I've read this book and it added this little bit for me, and clearly that's something that you're saying you need, or, you know, I've seen that you need, and that sort of stuff. Here you go, have this, and then it's obviously on the person to take that and go down that path. I'm honest now in the sense of expectations. I'm trying to taper my expectations to just put myself out there, and if people come to the party, that's great. If people choose to listen, if they push back, if they do anything, it's just, I'm just accepting them for who they are and what they're doing in their process in life. In the past, I was very sort of micromanaging myself and the people around me, and that was just, it's not fun to be, not in a, like an overt, like too much way, but it was too much for me now, and I'm sort of just trying to accept people for as they are, who they are, what they are, and just keeping on going. And if people enjoy that, they'll stick by. If people don't, they won't follow. That applies in person, and it also applies online. I'm going to be putting the stuff out there, and it's basically all of this stuff that I'm doing online is projection of me and my personality, my theories about the world, my recovery, my fiction, my process, all of this sort of stuff. If what I'm saying is on board and you like it, great. I appreciate that. Connect with me. I love it. I'm always keen on finding more resources and talking about it and helping others and all that sort of stuff. And if you're not, you'll click off. That's fine too, because I'm not, you know, we're not meant to connect at this stage in life. Fair enough. Maybe never. Fair enough. Right? For those people that are interested in what I'm doing, I've got a lot of disparate audiences, in the sense that my videos attract a certain group of people, and then I've also got a bunch of other stuff. So just to give you a bit of a rundown, I've got 4 books out at the moment. One of them was my story, Under the Influence, and that's basically my story of moving out of home and the trauma and that sort of stuff. It's a very heavy read. It's quite trigger-based, and that being said, it's helping a lot of people who've had issues with addicted parents, with childhood trauma, with their own mental health issues, because it's like, hey, I'm saying the words that you are feeling, and you're finding that connection, and when people connect to me, they're able to connect to me from that. I've released a couple of fiction pieces. The first one was called Upgrade, which is a sci-fi dystopic anthology. Love it. And the second one was Wage Slave, and this is like sort of a little bunch of short stories about my absolute distaste for the work-life balance that we have in our society. And the biggest book, the main book, the one that I'm selling about 4 copies of this per day on Audible, and it's blowing my mind that it's this popular, is called How to Get Your Shit Together. And this is basically the summation of the hundreds of self-help books and all the hours of therapy and all of that sort of stuff I've been doing in one book as a reference, primarily for me. I wrote it chapter by chapter. There's like 50 chapters, and each chapter is self-contained, so you can sort of pick and choose what you actually need help with. I designed it to be a physical book, but it's obviously selling on audiobook because that's where people are listening, and I get that. Ebooks, all that sort of stuff. I've also got a blog that I've put out on Medium, and that's just short pieces of just sort of talking about what I'm talking about on here as well. I've got a podcast called the Reality Check Podcast, and I've also got Skillshare courses where I'm talking about, at the moment, meditation and lucid dreaming. So what I'm going to do is I'll put the links down to my website, and from there you'll see all the ability to see all of that sort of stuff. And if you like it, please check it out. If you like what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe, follow me wherever you're watching this. I put everything out everywhere, so no matter where you are, chuck us a review, like, share, all of that sort of jazz. And if you are enjoying my content, if you're really liking it, there's a couple of ways you can support. One of the ways is to support yourself via signing up for the Skillshare or getting one of the books. That's great. If you really value what I'm doing, check out Patreon. It's basically a way that people can provide small monthly contributions that will give me a secure monthly income, which will allow me to sort of get rid of some of that work-based anxiety, and thus enable me to do more and more and more of these conversations, talking, all of that sort of stuff. So a few of you guys have signed up for that, and I'm blown away because it's amazing. So links to that, you'll click the link to my website, and there's a bunch of stuff across the top. In the support section, you can see how you can support what I'm doing. But yeah, be honest, talk your truth. Catch ya.